Hello, ladies and gentlemen of the YouTube community. My name is Scootaloo, and finally we get back to these Mercy 101s. Now, I believe it's been about a week, or not a week. I believe it's been about a month or a month and a half that I've done this stuff. I'm so sorry for that. If you guys did like the Mercy 101s, I'm so sorry for not keeping up with that. But just the holidays and everything got to me, and my mic completely like messed up on me, so I had to go out and get a new one. Now I got like the Logitech G633s. So these are actually pretty good. They have pretty good audio quality and they have pretty good um yeah, well, it's audio quality because, well, it's a headset, but yeah, they have a pretty good mic quality too. And hopefully I sound better than with Turtle Beaches, but regardless of that, we're gonna go straight into this Mercy 101 episode. Now today we are gonna be talking about how to res or how to properly use Mercy's reses. Now I set up 5 questions for you to answer to see if, well, it's worth using res. Now, these 5 questions do not always apply to your situation, but they're a helpful check on when you should res or if you should use res at the moment or at the time given. So the first question is, can the enemy easily follow up with a CC, ult, or an attack? Now, if you guys don't know, CC is crowd control. So ults like Earth Shatter, Graviton Surge, and Sombra's EMP can decrease the effectiveness of your team. So if you time this right, what actually can happen is that McCree can lock on a little bit before you can actually move when you're res. And for self-destruct, since you can preemptively self-destruct your mech, that means that even though if Mercy pulls off a res, if they pop it at the same time or Diva pops it later, your allies won't have time to move, and then by the time they get res and are able to move, self-destruct will be, well, self-destruct, and that might cause into another team wipe or just a lot of killing of the people, so you lose the team fight. Now, second question on this list is, how many people can you actually res within the 15-meter radius that res is given? Now, while a bunch of people could have died on your team, it doesn't help that you could only have 2 of the 5 teammates that died being able to res within a given radius. For example, if Reinhardt charges someone and pins someone halfway across the map, you're not going to be able to res them without resing the other people. So this is why people say, oh, or, well, this is why Mercy players say group up, die on point, or die on card, or something like that, because even though res doesn't need the effectiveness or it doesn't apply to line of sight, you still need to be in that 15-meter radius, which is smaller than Lucio's aura for speed and healing. Okay, now the third question is, what kind of heroes am I using res on? Now, sometimes res may be only on 1 or 2 people, which is completely fine, depending who your target is. If you're gonna res a Genji that has no ult and no one to combo with, then it's not really worth resing the Genji, because the Genji has high mobility and can actually get to the point faster than, let's say, a Roadhog can. While players like Reinhardt or your main DPS will be better heroes to res because they're a crucial element in the team and probably makes your percentage of taking the point or winning the team fight higher in the end. Now the fourth question is, if I die, will the team have another healer to keep them alive? Now, in a lot of Mercy gameplay, I've seen it before and have done it myself, sadly. But Mercy mostly Guardian Angels in, reses, and then she dies to like a Reinhardt swing or McCree flashbang fan the hammer combo. The only downside of this is that if Mercy is the only healer, then your team might not be able to sustain the fight because they have no healing. Even though you did res 3 to 5 people, not everyone can self-heal in the game. And you have that chance that you might lose the fight, and basically your res was nullified its intended purpose to win the team fight then and there. Now the last question you should ask yourself while using res is, will you win the point or the team fight if you use res? While getting that 5-man Mercy res may be good, it's not going to be good if your team just gets fully wiped again after you do res them. So an example of this is if the enemy team has a Reinhardt and a Zarya. So the situation is that Reinhardt or Shatters gets all of your teammates down except you. You're hiding off in a corner somewhere or in the back line, and then the enemy team pushes up, kills your team. Now you have the option of resing. Now I talked about this in my res economics video, where this might actually be good to res, but for the sake of res and for it being res, if you do res them and you revive all your teammates and let's say you're still alive, the enemy Zarya might graviton you, leading them to another team white. Now, yet again, I suggest you guys go watch my video about res economics and the whole thing why res is really strong, but the competitive guys are not using it because, well, Mercy is kind of defenseless, and 2, Ana is completely overpowered at the moment, so that's why we see a lot less Mercy and competitive play on the pro level. Now, as I said before, all these questions, I said not all of them would be applicable to the given situation. So I've given some of the reasons why you might use res. These reasons include man advantage, ultimate bank advantage, alt setups or play setups, delay or contention of the objective, or reviving a crucial element on your team. Now, through those given reasons on why you might use res, I'm going to explain the pros and cons of each one. So sit back and get a drink of iced tea or water, that H2O, and let's get right into this. And I'll stop it with the cringy jokes, guys, I promise. Now we're going to be going down the list from top to bottom. So let's start with the first one, man advantage. Now the pros of man advantage is that it allows an equal or a man advantage in the team fight, and it allows your team to push immediately instead of waiting for your respawns. So this mostly happens at lower ranks, where people get fragged before the actual team fight happens, and sometimes Mercy revives them so they save the time for respawns and the habits of trickling at lower ranks. So this is actually a good strategy for having all 6 of your teammates, or I guess 5 of your teammates, and you to push in without anyone being down or trickling after the team fight has already been initiated. This also has the advantage that you can actually go for a pick, and then if, let's say, a Genji dies while diving one of the supports and kills the support, but he gets focused down and fired, then you can res him or res whoever is down, and you can have a man advantage because the enemy team is down one person, one support or one character, or how many amount of heroes you want to think. Now, the cons of man advantage is that it wastes your res on a team fight. That should have been a 6v6 from the beginning, when grouping up is a better option. Now, this really, I'm gonna hammer this home that this really happens at lower ranks. Sometimes higher ranks because this is kind of the whole trickling thing that goes on in solo queue and just competitive in general at the lower ranks. But it does happen everywhere, and sometimes res can help that, but it kind of nullifies the purpose of using res because res is supposed to bring back a whole team after a big team fight happens. Now the next one is ultimate bank advantage. Now the pros of this method is that it allows your team to make a trash poke and see what kind of picks they can get before res, or bait out high charging ultimates like Graviton Surge, Sound Barrier, or Transcendence. And out of all support ultimates that prevent damage, so basically Symmetra and Ano's Nano Boost, Mercy has the fastest ult charge time out of all of them. And at lower ranks, and sometimes because of miscommunication, the enemy team might overinvest in teamfights and waste a whole bunch of ultimates just for Mercy to revive all the kills that the enemies just got. For example, in some games you might see a Earth Shatter, then a Graviton, then they follow up with like a Reaper Death Blossom or a Hanzo Dragon Trick. While they did use 3 ultimates and almost did wipe out your team, your res just completely nullifies it, having Earth Shatter, Graviton, and whatever DPS of their choosing completely down the drain, and they have to reinvest in the ultimate bank advantage. Now, the cons of this strategy include that it's not really the best thing to do in solo queue, and it works pretty decently in a 6 stack, but it also requires a good amount of communication and effort to actually do this. Now, another reason why this is kind of a bad idea is that allies might be too spread out in the positioning and time in order to revive all your dead teammates, and it requires a little bit finesse to be with Mercy, with positioning and where you
Oh
should
shit.
be
There's a
when
river.
your team is being wiped out by the enemy team, and I'll be covering over a video about positioning and all of that in an episode to come. Now, the third method of using Mercy's Res is ultimate setups, or play setups that you use with your ultimate to position other ultimates in their positioning to ult. That's a lot of ult. Oh, my brain hurts already. Well, let's get on to the pros. Now, the pros of this strategy is that it allows heroes like Reaper, Symmetra, and other CQC or close quarter combat heroes
Like
to
the other
die within the
CQC.
enemy lines or in the back lines and be rezzed behind or in the enemy's ranks. Now, this is gonna totally
Oh
catch them
fuck! I
off
dropped
guard
right in the middle of
if
them.
you
Help
haven't
me!
really
Help me!
done
Help
it
me!
before, because if you do it constantly to
Can
them,
I ask for
then they're
this?
gonna catch on, but most of the times they won't really expect this. So if
All
you
right,
have,
I got the mercy.
say, someone like Reaper in the back lines, and then like let's say on a sleep darts him, and then he gets on a grenaded and focused down and killed, they're not gonna really expect a Reaper behind them because they already dealt with him. So when you do res him, it's gonna be very unexpected to the enemy, and then they're gonna have to adjust on the fly
Tracer this way. Never
between
mind.
fighting on two
I
fronts,
got her.
which being internal and
Ooh, thanks
external,
for the gem.
or backline and frontline. Now, almost a given thing that you should do with this is to have a synergy with Zarya. So, for example, if you are running Reaper and you do have
You
Death
hook 'em, we
Blossom
cook 'em.
up, then it will be a really good synergy for Reaper to die within the enemy ranks. Mercy reses whoever's down, especially Reaper, and Zarya pops a projected barrier on Reaper, allowing him to ult and not be hit by any CC. So, for example, like McCree's
Oh my.
Flashbang, Reinhardt's Earth Shatter, or Roadhog's Hook. Now, sadly, there are cons to this strategy because, first of all, it's very ballsy and it's gonna take a lot of
Can't even one
coordination
shot
to
through.
actually pull this
Don't
off.
worry.
And with focus fire without a Zarya bubble will mostly
How
result
do you change the
will result in a
attack weapon
whole
while
team
you use
focus
it
fire
Symmetra?
on the internal threat, which will probably be Reaper or like
I steal
Symmetra,
again.
which
Okay,
kind of nullifies the purpose because you wasted res
got it.
and maybe your Reaper popped ult or something, and then he has to charge that up too. Now the downsides to the strategy is that the enemy won't really have to worry about res
He's gonna hit
because
with
they
down
can't hear
throws.
you resing, and well, the allied is not going to be really sneaky because he's going to be glowing yellow on the enemy screen and your screen, but you know, how can you miss a big
Told ya.
giant gold target? But yeah. But if you do pull it off though, it's actually really unexpected and it could result you in winning a game. Now the fourth method is
Says I
probably
got
the
you.
most
Still dies. Feels
general and
good
the
to rescue.
most thought of thing of using Mercy's Res, and that is the delay and contention of an objective, and this mostly happens during overtime or near overtime. Now the pros of this is, well, it allows your team to contest the objective and keep that objective a little bit longer, especially on 2 CP maps and payload maps, because time is everything on that, and anything that you can do to drain the time bank is really good on your part. It also increases your
Dude, this
overall
mercy wants some
chance of winning
power.
the team
What
fight
the fuck?
because you are resing your teammates, resulting in the whole man advantage thing and so forth, but you're delaying the objective or you're trying to contest the objective at the
I'm
same
so tired
time.
of that monkey.
Now, the biggest con of
Never.
this
That's the
is
monkey.
that
That's
you'll probably
Reinhardt.
have enemies hunting you down. So people like Tracer and Genji or Winston will be completely focusing you down in order for their team to push in to get the objective because they know how powerful res is on 2 CP maps, especially on the second point. Now the second con of this strategy is that the enemy team might have ultimates like Earth Shatter or Graviton Surge to easily
That's
wipe
just
your
a
team after
super gender?
res. Now, the fifth and final reason why you should be using res, or my idea of using res, is to revive a crucial element on your team. What an element is basically like a team member or like a person or something involved in a fight. So the pro of this method is that it allows your team comp to be, well, complete again, because mostly when, let's say, defending teams go Bastion or something, you're gonna have to adjust your team comp to playing Bastion. So you're gonna have a Reinhardt, maybe a Diva, and then you're gonna have a
Fucking
Mercy,
right.
and maybe even a soldier or something to shoot the Pharah down if Pharah is being used, or Genji, just people to counter Bastion's counters. And then if that crucial element dies, so if Bastion dies, if you use res on him, it'll make the team comp whole again. Because some team comps, well, if the star player goes down or the main focus of the team comp goes down, then everyone else can't really function because they're playing roles that goes around the main point of running the team comp. Now, second reason on why this method is pretty good is that solo reviving people like Bastion or Symmetra is not really a bad idea because they are crucial elements into the team composition. Because especially if Symmetra has her shield generator ready to go but accidentally dies or gets picked, you can use that res to get Symmetra to maybe get a teleporter or even shield generators to your team. If she does do a teleporter, then your team can easily get back to the point, or if she uses a shield generator, then it will be harder for your team to die because the extra 75 health points with the shield. Now, the cons of this is that the enemy team does not have to worry about an aftermath res after the team fight happens, and you're not really gonna get the full benefit of res, and they're gonna know when you're gonna pop res because if they focus on the Bastion, then you're just gonna use res because you think it's important to revive the element on your team that is very crucial to your team. But in actuality, they're just trying to get and bait your res so you don't res everybody else so they can easily team wipe you. Now that's been all for today. I hope this was a more in-depth guide on how you should be using res, and hopefully I didn't trigger people who are mercy mains. I am a mercy main myself, but yet again, I'm only one person, and if you guys have any more ideas about how to use res or how to do other things with res that I can't think of right now because I'm thinking on the fly, then leave in the comment section down below and go help other people who are watching this video and help me and others become better Mercy mains, and hopefully she'll be back in the meta. Mercy 2017.
Yeah, I should just explode the mech.
So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did like it, hit that like button down below. And I'm gonna emphasize you that you should hit the like button because YouTube suggests that if you talk more than 20 seconds about the like button, or you talk about very seductively, or you encourage people to like that like button a little bit more than usual, then people might actually like your video. So hearts out to you guys, but you don't have to if you really want to, because I'm just doing this because I have nothing else to say and I'm just hyped on so much energy right now. I don't even know why. So yeah, I hope you guys like this video, even though I said that about the second or third time in this video already. If you guys haven't already, please subscribe to my channel for more Overwatch content or more cringe content or whatever I'm going to be posting out. I might be posting out something that I do have with my friend when we were playing Overwatch and we're just fooling around. It was pretty funny. So yeah, this video is probably going to be going out on New Year's Eve, so I might get that video out on New Year's Day so we can start the new year fresh and funny, and you're gonna see that I suck as DPS. So yeah, I hope you guys have a great and wonderful day. Goodbye.